When it's time to begin, it's on the Rewind-A-Raw with Jon Pollock and waiting. The 18 that makes sense of these things we see in the ring every week on TV. It's Rewind-A-Raw for Monday night. Download it Tuesday morning from the Post Wrestling site. It's Rewind-A-Raw for Monday night on USA Now on the Jon and Wai Take the Mic.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Rewind-A-Raw. It's Jon Pollock and waiting the start of quite the week in professional wrestling. I'm already over this week. I am ready for it to be over. Are you looking forward to this on Tuesday? Are you looking forward to all of this?
I would have said yes, maybe a few days ago, but I think I'm starting to feel just the anxiety of having to navigate all the toxic discourse that's about to just take place.
I'm all
for the
for
next
all
week.
of that. That's fine.
I'm excited for the wrestling, but man, everything attached to it, maybe not as much.
You don't think there's going to be a lot of salient points made pro and con on Wednesday? People understanding the nuances of.
Listen, it's a function of what we're talking about, right? The competition is healthy, hopefully, for everybody. It might not be the healthiest for some of us who have to read a lot of it, I suppose, but overall, it's a good thing. I am looking forward to it. What about you?
It's a lot. It's just a lot, and I understand we have a unique, I guess, outlet where we are somewhat required to consume all of this. But if I was just a consumer, I'd certainly be picking and choosing because it's just way too much all in one night when we're talking about 60 minutes of commercial-free content that we'll have tomorrow night between both shows, expected overruns, and now a 30-minute pre-show.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's actually more of an hour and a half, commercial-free.
Well, yeah, if you include, this pre-show, you probably won't have commercial interruption in there either. So, yeah, you're right.
And does NXT have a pre-show that we don't know about yet?
You can keep it monitored because we're on for about 90 minutes here, and I'm certain that there will be more to come.
Well, maybe even more announcements tomorrow. Who knows? But this is part of the fun. It's a big measuring contest.
It is. They're going to get their measuring tape out, and on Wednesday at 4 p.m., the pants come down. We get to see.
Okay.
That's what the headline's going to be.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this week on Post Wrestling, wait, what are we doing on Tuesday night? Please inform the listener.
Tuesday night, we will be co-streaming with our NXT friends. At Up Next, Braden Harrington and Davey Portman, of course, they will be handling what is sure to be maybe the biggest edition of NXT ever as they review that, while we handle duties reviewing Dynamite. And, we'll do our best to maybe have a sort of a blend of discussion between the two. We will be it'll be very experimental. So if it completely sucks, you could blame me. Don't blame those guys. But we will be trying to maybe kind of take turns throughout the night. We'll be talking about a little bit of Dynamite, and then we'll throw things over to the BDE so that they can recap a bit of NXT. And then we'll go a little bit of a back and forth just to kind of give everybody a bit of a sense of just what this evening is and what each show is countering the other with.
Okay, that's coming up Tuesday night. We will be live.
Ron's not that excited about this idea, I don't think.
No, I'm very much looking forward to it. I was lamenting that we don't know when we will be going live because this could be maybe either side, neither's going to blink.
True.
They won't go off the air till the other does.
Very true. You're right. So whenever the shows end, maybe 5 or 10 minutes after that.
Maybe we should just call it. If you're going to 10:15, we're done.
I have a feeling that they'll be done.
Do you think both will be done by 10:15?
So we know that the overruns are for 10 minutes each, right? Or at least AEW has announced theirs as 10 minutes. Has NXT?
No.
Right. Okay. Dude, I don't know, man. I can't.
In theory, they can go as long as they're permitted to.
I guess so. I guess you're right.
So we will see what happens there.
Take your bets.
Yeah, make your bets. So, in lieu of Dynamite on Tuesday this week, there will be no Rewind-A-Dynamite on Wednesday. But later on this week, we have 4 postwrestlingcafe.com shows coming at you, including Rewind-A-SmackDown, Collision Course, and then on Saturday as well, Bruce Lord and Karen Peterson reviewing Royal Quest 3 from the Copperbox Arena. Sunday, we've got MCU later. It is episode 2 of Loki with WH Park and WH Fan. They will be on the show. And the NWA podcast on Sunday for all.
I'm sure he's a WH fan, but I think you meant Rich Fan.
Who did I say?
You said WH Park and WH Fan.
Which, you know what? I mean, if there was a WH fan in the family of the fans, I'm sure WH would be a fine and suitable name for them. But yes, Rich Fan and WH Park together on Sunday. And their first show covering the premiere of season 2 is up free for everyone to check out.
Boy, was it fun to listen to those two back talking about the MCU again. And in particular, Rich, super knowledgeable, does a ton of preparation. Like I'm a little biased, of course, but I'll put this review of this Marvel show up against any other comic book like dedicated review show, and I think these two do a better job, to be quite honest. So
challenge issued by Way. Come at them.
Yeah. You want to go head to head live? I'll give them an overrun. Sure, an
underrun.
All that. Yes, they do a great job.
When's the buy-in before MCU later?
God, yes, this is it, really.
Lots to check out this week at postwrestlingcafe.com and on the website. Over the weekend, we got a review. Well, we got a review today from Bruce and Karen covering Destruction and Ryogoku that we'll go over. And from this past weekend, we had a Fastlane review with Wei Ting and Mr. John Cena. Collision Course, all of your shows covered over the past weekend. So you can go check out on that in case you missed like the hundreds of hours over the last week. We've got you covered before the hundreds this coming week.
That's what we're here for. Yes.
I'm sorry, folks. It's just it's daunting when it just feels like there's no end in sight at all. It's just never. And this is the game. It's just like we're just gonna stack hours upon hours upon hours.
Yeah. We're being stretched.
I'm going to crumble. I'm just going to crumble at the end.
No, we have a great roster of people that are here to help us. It's not nearly. I think the sort of what looks to be ahead is probably a lot worse than it actually is, because we have a lot of help. So, yes.
We'll check out all of the programming at postwrestling.com. We're going to move on over to some news items, Way.
Yeah.
Were you up at 3:30 a.m. in the morning to see the return of Yuya Uemura to New Japan Pro Wrestling?
I don't think I was. No.
The man who was fired with the wrong choice of said briefcase at Impact Wrestling. Turns out that briefcase, it might have been a fire 2 weeks notice, but it also had a contract for just 5 guys, because he is the mystery guy replacing Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and Yuya Uemura returning on Monday's card was part of the 6-man tag teaming with Taichi and Doki, and they were victorious, and then getting involved in the main event as well.
Congratulations to him. Loses one job and really gains employment at another. 5 guys, no less. So happy to see this stable that's taken the world by storm back up to their usual numbers. They can make use of all that merchandise that they printed.
Yep. Can have their familiar hand signal now. Don't have to be doing the 4 horsemen deal. So yes, it was Yuya Uemura, Doki, and Taka defeating Kanemaru, Sho, and Yujiro, and it was Uemura with the overhead suplex pinning Yujiro. Some other highlights from the show: the main event, what everyone was here for, the lumberjack death match between Sonata and Evil. A cool 28 minutes that these two went for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, and this was. I mean, the commentary of Kevin Kelly and Chris Charlton, the story was, if Evil wins, he will ruin Wrestle Kingdom for everybody. That was what it was at stake here. Our big show of the year, it will be ruined if the House of Torture is headlining this show. So it's very meta in the sense that it's all of this interference. It makes for poor matches and blatant disregard of the rules. But I mean, Kevin Kelly and Chris Charlton, they always play it to the tilt where it's as well. It's like, this is awful for business. This is terrible. And this is in sync with a lot of their audience. So there was plenty of that. And Kevin Kelly just lamenting during some of these ref bumps, what has become of the IWGP title, and says Evil versus Naito at Wrestle Kingdom would be a black eye on the entire industry. And Chris Charlton was noting how the Tokyo Dome payoff will be light if Evil is the champion going in. Just the idea that the house will be down, everyone's payoffs will be down because of this man. He'll be such a terrible draw as champion. So, I mean, for what this was, I mean, this is not my cup of tea for your IWGP World Heavyweight title, but this was, if you love 10 million run-ins, dozens of ref bumps, all of the saves, yanking the referee out, breaking up the covers. I mean, this was our climactic match for Evil, where it's like the threat of this guy doing something of substance in New Japan being thwarted by Sonata. And it came down to Evil having the match won, and Red Shoes, who had been knocked out prior, he goes to count, but instead he holds it up, and Red Shoes, just the middle fingers to Evil. I mean, this guy should be thrown out as a referee. I don't care what the provocation is, but he won't count Evil's cover, and we lead to a near fall by Sonata, and then he counters with his own Everything is Evil, pair of Shining Wizards, and the Deadfall to pin Evil. 28 minutes, and now Sonata will defend the title against Tetsuya Naito at Wrestle Kingdom 18. And with Muto at ringside on commentary, Sonata brought him into the ring. They did a photo op together, and Muto presenting him with the belt. And then Sonata said how this is full circle, challenging Naito at the Dome, because both men were part of the same New Japan tryout. And New Japan picked one person. It was Naito, and they rejected Sonata, who had to find another path in professional wrestling. And here he is going to the Tokyo Dome as IWGP champion to defend against Naito.
Okay.
That's our setup. And at the end of this, we had Kevin Kelly he still has the Wrestle Kingdom and New Year Dash shows to go, but he did go over to Japan, and he won't be in Japan again until the Tokyo Dome. And at the end, he was just praising Chris Charlton, stating, all that you've done to grow pro wrestling on New Japan World, you should be in the Hall of Fame for all that you have done, and was just praising like the people on the streaming side. And then they put over Walker Stewart, who will be joining the team. And then they were just talking about the fact, Chris Charlton was just stating, like, we went through the lows of working in the pandemic together, and now here we are. Occasionally we're now shown on camera, which is nice. So that's it. You will get the end of this duo come January 5th.
They certainly have been through a lot. I mean, we hear a lot about maybe what the talent have had to go through, especially during the pandemic, in order to just simply perform and work. For somebody like Kevin Kelly, add the incredible amounts of travel and quarantine to that as well. He's had it not easy, just to be able to make a living doing professional wrestling. So this is a team that I will miss. I think they were one of the best teams, in professional wrestling at a certain time.
Other news from the show: Hiromu Takahashi retained the junior heavyweight title over Speedball Mike Bailey, and Yo, who replaced Leo Rush, he was not good to go after his fever that he had last week. So Hiromu retained, pinning Yo after the Time Bomb 2, and then Taiji Ishimori made his return. He's been out with a neck injury since that Best of the Super Juniors match with Hiromu, where the match was called off. And Ishimori attacked Hiromu, and that's a direction that they look to be going with in the immediate after this one. We had several new champions. David Finlay lost the Never Openweight Championship to Tama Tonga. Really good match that went just under 20 minutes, and some amazing counters by Tama Tonga using the gun stun. At one point, Finlay went for Into Oblivion. That was turned into the gun stun, and working in all these great near falls, and then winning after he hit the Styles Clash, followed by the J Driller. And it is he's now a 3-time Never Openweight champion. The one other title change on the show was the strong openweight tag titles, as El Phantasmo and Hikuleo beat Alex Coughlin and Gabe Kidd. So that was a good match too with El Phantasmo and Hikuleo. I like this role for Hikuleo, where he's in this tag situation with El Phantasmo, and hopefully they can build this guy. I saw enough improvements in him throughout the G1, and this is a good role for him. It's not too much of a big single spotlight, because I don't know if he's necessarily ready for that big monster singles push, and this is probably a good pairing for him, at least for the short term. And those are the main things on the show, and Yuya Uemura's return, and into a fairly prominent spot with just 5 guys coming out of the show. So now they go to Royal Quest 3 on the weekend. They have the Super Junior Tag League in a couple of weeks starting, and then it's the World Tag League to end the year. And then suddenly we're into January.
Already, look at that. And again, full review of that show over in the Post Wrestling Cafe right now from Bruce Lord and Karen Peterson.
Also, because there were a million shows going on in Japan today, Stardom held a pay-per-view in Nagoya. And the big thing on the show, it was KAIRI's farewell match, because she is going on an extended hiatus, which is one of the ideas they had for the renaming of WWE. Extended hiatus. So KAIRI finished up. She was teaming with Nane Takahashi and Mayu Iwatani, defeating Koguma, Hazuki, and Saya Ida. And it was KAIRI pinning Koguma with the insane elbow. So they put her over in her farewell match. It was emotional afterwards. And I guess now people are just going to be expecting her arrival to extended hiatus.
Extended hiatus, sure. Yeah, I mean,
maybe that'll be her new submission.
Very, very interesting. Of course, with Io Sky, the champion on SmackDown right now, you would expect SmackDown to be a pretty, maybe presumable landing spot for her. But when it'll happen, we'll see.
Also of note was Sunday, Jon Moxley was supposed to have a match with Gringo Loco on the Pro Wrestling Revolver show, but came out, and this was the second time that Pro Wrestling Revolver has tried to put this match together. And for the second time, Moxley has not been able to do the match, and just they stated that he was not cleared to go, so he was replaced by Rich Swann. They're advertising him for tomorrow, and I'm wondering if this is one of those where, I mean, why are we going to risk this on an independent show when you've just had a concussion and the priority is obviously on Tuesday and not working in Dayton on a Sunday night?
Very well could be. I mean, I would have to imagine that they would have announced that he, if he was unable to, face Phoenix tomorrow, that we would have known by now. But I would expect him to be ready.
Ratings notes from Friday: SmackDown did 2,303,000 viewers, 0.64 in the demo, so their highest in 3 weeks since the show with The Rock. Rampage did 365,000 viewers and a 0.12 in the demo, so up almost even in viewers from last week, and down 12% in the demo. It was female viewership that was down this week in all the key categories. That was the difference this week in the demo and in some of the older categories as well. But now you can get out your pen and paper as we go through the lineups for Tuesday night, Super Tuesday. A Canadian programming note is that you will get Dynamite live on TSN2 at 8 Eastern, but to watch NXT live in Canada, it will be streaming on Sportsnet now, because Sportsnet 360 that regularly carries NXT, they're carrying the Major League Baseball playoffs. So if you want to watch it on Sportsnet 360, it won't be airing until midnight, but you can stream it live at 8 Eastern. So guys, we can project that AEW is going to win the ratings battle on Tuesday night in Canada.
Sure. Thank you very much.
The live television viewership has been won by AEW. So NXT, first 30 minutes are commercial free, and we have Carmelo Hayes with his best friend John Cena taking on Braun Breaker with his best friend Paul Heyman in his corner. Long backstories involving each of these men with their mentors.
Well, at least for Carmelo, did they not share like anything? Have they shared like a backstage skit? Nothing, right?
No. I mean,
well, we don't know what happened off screen. Same with Heyman and Braun. I mean, maybe years. I mean, I'm sure Heyman would have had interaction with his dad,
I don't think his dad's going to be spoken of, because he would have probably been the guy in this role.
Paul Heyman's going to be his new dad. Okay. We'll just change that whole lineage up, and maybe John Cena can be Carmelo Hayes' dad.
Okay. Well, yeah. Maybe that's going to be the story. So Roxanne Perez takes on Asuka, a pub fight with Gallus against Butch, Ridge Holland, and Tyler Bate. Cody Rhodes will make a huge announcement.
Mm-hmm. Big announcement.
Big in capital letters. Big announcement.
So what's your prediction? What do you think it is?
He's been cast for a remake of Big.
That would be big, sure.
Wouldn't you think maybe the Dusty Rhodes tournament, or is that not?
Is that big enough? That seems kind of obvious, don't you think?
It's sort of, maybe they have some kind of wrinkle attached to it. Maybe Cody's entering the Dusty Rhodes tournament.
Well, he is in a tag team right now, so yeah, that wouldn't be.
And then you get Cody on NXT for a bunch of matches. Mm-hmm. That could be something. And Becky Lynch set to appear, And the Undertaker's gong will also be an appearance.
They never advertised the Undertaker. Truly, they just played a gong. Could be anything. Could be a gong. Doesn't even have to be the Undertaker's.
Tuesday's Title Tuesday, which, as we've got pretty much the lineup here with 6 matches. Do 2 title matches? Do you get the leeway to call it Title Tuesday with 2 title matches? Is that enough?
I don't know if that's necessarily enough.
There's more title matches on Raw next week, I think.
But they do have the buy-in match between Minoru Suzuki and Eddie Kingston. That's right. For 2 titles.
That's right. They're up to 3. Oh, you're right. Okay, that puts them over the line. I think that crosses the threshold at that point once you include this buy-in. The buy-in to Title Tuesday. So Eddie Kingston against Minoru Suzuki. This will be on their social channels beginning at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. Do you think they squeeze in another match on the buy-in, or are we getting a 1-match buy-in?
I think very possible. I mean, other that, I don't know what exactly they would spend, the rest of the time talking about, because it's not like they have. I guess they do have certain video packages that they can air for the matches over the evening, but I wouldn't be surprised if you saw another match there. Yeah.
Wasn't this the deal they did for that SmackDown where they did the buy-in, and wasn't it Danielson and Minoru Suzuki?
Yeah.
And it was something like, I want to say like 70,000 viewers were watching it live. Like it was a ridiculously low number that are tuning in for these like online streams.
Yeah. I mean, it's a web show, and what's the strategy here, right? It's to maybe take away some of the online buzz, maybe just to, the audiences that were going to watch, maybe both, that they get an early head start to their night by watching.
Ideally, you want to do something big with like 5 or 10 minutes left that are going to keep people like you should be hitting hard what the match is at the top of the hour or what segment is starting. Like maybe they start with Edge. Maybe you go with your big thing right at 8 p.m.
You'll get your entrances. Yeah. Right into the show.
You could do 100%. You do the entrances at 7:55 and you've got that viewer. Again, I don't think it's going to be a huge number or make any big difference overall, but for some people that maybe were thinking of flipping back and forth, you do so just to boost up that first quarter as much as possible.
I suppose at a time where WWE might be throwing out the Undertaker. I mean, if you're AEW, what really could you do, right? Like to maybe give yourself a bit of an advantage. I mean, I will say, I think the audience that might be tuning into Minoru Suzuki might not necessarily be the same audience that is tuning into NXT for the Undertaker. So they seem to be maybe carving their own path for the type of audience that they're looking for. And this is a big match, at least to a hardcore fan who knows both of these two.
So the show proper at 8 p.m., which will start as well with a 30-minute commercial-free portion, has Rey Fenix against Jon Moxley for the international title. Are you expecting the title to be bounced back to Moxley?
It's a very interesting one, right? Does clearly like
Phoenix seems like he's in a mess at this moment too. So it's like if Moxley might be the better option at this point, because this title is just man, it's broken these two
completely. Yeah, I mean, in that case, yeah, it could very well be the case. But man, it's a weird stretch of like a couple weeks for this Moxley run. I mean, in hindsight, could he not have just missed like the month, and not have?
I mean, he made the call. He made the call. Like they were.
It was hard for him to know, so he's probably doing the responsible thing at the time. But yeah, I kind of do think Moxley takes it back.
Saraya and Hikaru Shida for the AEW women's title. Dude, I don't know how many people are like watching Hikaru Shida's matches because they're mainly on Rampage, but like, man, her and Statlander had a great tag team match on Friday. It's like Shida routinely has these really entertaining matches. For Saraya, she had the really good 3-way in London. This will certainly be a challenge in a one-on-one scenario with Shida, but she's in with like arguably one of the top women in the company in Shida. Bryan Danielson and Swerve Strickland, the winner will get a TNT title shot, and we found out that match will be Saturday on Collision against Christian Cage, which either one, it's a pretty big match for Collision on Saturday. Hangman Page takes on Jay White, Adam Copeland against Luchasaurus, Chris Jericho against Powerhouse Hobbs, MJF will appear, and a segment with Timeless Tony Storm. And as much as this show is being built up for the AEW side, as of today, WrestleTix reporting just under 2,800 tickets are out in Independence, Missouri, which is very low. This is not sold tickets so far. We'll see if there's some last day ticket push for the company, but if that's some indication. I mean, AEW is not hot when it comes to their weekly television. Like, all their numbers are in this 2,000 to 2,500 range by and large.
Yeah, I have to say pretty disappointing. And, maybe you can, I think it's very clear that like, Adam Copeland is an attraction, certainly, and you have to ask, like, again, what the show would have done maybe without him, but he's certainly not like the game changer that maybe, a CM Punk was.
Do you think that this was maybe was Luchasaurus like, obviously he's tied to the storyline with Christian and Nick Wayne. Was this that attractive of an opponent for a first match with Adam Copeland?
I think the fact that it was his first match should have made up for a lot of like this is not a dream match in any way, but it is Christian's, protege basically taking on Edge. And I think I would have expected it to do a bit better than this.
Guess it's just, he comes in and he's rattling off all these names, and it's like Luchasaurus is like, it should be a fine match. It's just you've thrown out all these dream matches, and I mean, regardless, you would think, yeah, just the fact it's his first match, that should be enough of some oomph, but it certainly has not, at least ticket wise. We will see how this does Tuesday night in its given slot. So there you go. That is your lineup for Super Tuesday. And again, we will be live after the shows conclude around 10:15 or so Eastern Tuesday night with Braden Harrington and Davey Portman joining us for the entire show. And you know what? Some of you, you just want the entire show, and you do have to do some navigation in terms of tracking down the entire show wherever you are. But we have a very easy solution to track down that entire show.
That is right, John. Our thanks again to NordVPN for sponsoring tonight's edition of Rewind-A-Raw. It is a service I use every day to keep my online browsing secure and encrypted. I also use it, of course, to sign up for online services I can't get in Canada, such as switching my location to the UK or Australia gives me the ability to subscribe to AEW Plus on Fight. And yes, John, maybe I'll use it tomorrow night. Maybe a lot of you guys will be using it tomorrow night in order to juggle, pausing the live player so that you can catch up on one show, going back and rewinding and watching another, because you could definitely do that through Fight, unlike other services that I'm usually required to watch AEW on. It is my favorite way of consuming AEW programming, along with its TV archives. I just used it tonight to catch up on FTR's title loss on Collision right before watching Raw. It is way less of a hassle than dealing with pirated websites, and it gives me full HD quality. I can also purchase pay-per-views at half the price. I can even switch my location to Japan, John, just to say I can watch AEW in Japanese on New Japan World. I don't even speak Japanese. I just like the thrill of doing something I'm not supposed to. How about that? I've also used Nord to get a cheaper Netflix subscription. You can also try using it to get cheaper flights, hotel bookings, and car rentals. A standard 2-year plan with Nord costs $3.08 a month when you sign up at nordvpn.com/postwrestling. So it's already paid for itself many times over. And then you get 4 bonus months on top of all 2-year plans when you sign up using our code POSTWRESTLING. So try it. Get your money back within 30 days if you're not satisfied. Again, $3.08 a month when you sign up at nordvpn.com/postwrestling. Check the link in the description. Sign up with code postwrestling and get yourself some bonus months, and let NordVPN know you found them through Post.
Now that SmackDown's on Abema in Japan, I would love to see the Japanese broadcast of how they called that segment where Bayley had to react to what Asuka said in Japanese.
They might. I'd love to know how the announcers would call that one. Yes,
could be a very confusing segment.
That's not what she said.
Let's get into Raw tonight from Omaha, Nebraska. Seth Rollins starts off the show reflecting on the last man standing match, but notes his back is still broken. But being champion is one of the great honors of his career, but he gets serious. He teases that he's going to retire, but no, he's just getting started, and he would like to have just one Monday without fighting for his life. He just wants the fans to sing. He came all the way to Omaha to hear them sing. Drew McIntyre is out, and Seth just assumes he wants a title match, but Drew explains, a bunch of other guys will jump you from behind. I'm asking you man-to-man, and I want you to be 100%. Face me at Crown Jewel. And Seth agrees to this, and it is made official later on. All these guys that are going to go through such hurdles come Royal Rumble time. This is as easy as it gets when it comes to securing a title match for yourself. I mean, maybe don't aim for WrestleMania, but one of these smaller shows, That's when you just go the easy route. Just come out.
Got to
Ask for it.
work on your walking skills to the ring.
Got to have your music ready. Do it in the first segment before anyone gets kind of even settled in backstage. And boom, you got it. Damian Priest attacks Rollins from behind, and Drew is left. So he's just watching, and he's watching him attack Rollins. When Dom is summoned with the briefcase, they tease the cash in, but now Drew stops Dom with a Glasgow kiss and throws the briefcase. Got quite a distance here for this briefcase.
Mm-hmm.
This could be an Olympic event for Drew.
Yes, briefcase toss.
So no cash in, and Drew secures Rollins as champion.
Didn't get your thoughts on Fastlane, but very quickly, did you get a chance to watch it? And if so, did you have any thoughts?
I did. I did not watch it live. I thought it was a show that was, I'll put it this way. It really did hit me in terms of just the difference that a WWE premium live event, some of the things it can get away with that I certainly would not be as easy to forgive on a regular pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, it's like certainly, and this is I don't think a huge argument from people, but you can put a 5-match show together with a bunch of your stars that are shelved. You don't need to put your whole roster on there, and people accept that. Number two, the way they teased Jade Cargill, like on the kickoff show.
Yeah.
Like you could never do that tease to me on a pay-per-view and not catch tons of flack for it.
Mm-hmm.
No follow-up during the show. Like nothing sitting in the crowd, an interview. What are you doing here? Nothing tonight. Like it was just to me, like it was just like teasing your audience. But I thought I think it was you guys that mentioned it. The idea of having her as sort of the free agent now showing up at all the shows, but there was none of that tonight in terms of a live appearance by her. Anyway, that is to say that I just think I think there would be a way more people upset if you teased like this major star you promoted on the kickoff, and then you hope to maybe grab some last minute buys, but that's not the case with their system.
Oh, you're definitely not feeling as bad about, having only spent like $10 a month for a Peacock subscription versus $50. So yes.
But the show itself, like I was really impressed with the Last Man Standing match. I thought that was one of Nakamura's best WWE matches he has had. I thought they were both Rollins in particular. That said, I can't say I came away with the show with too much like that. I would say you have to absolutely go out of your way and see. Like it was the first Payback, we kind of said going in felt like a B show. This even more so to me, and that's including Cena in there. Like I found that match to be, man, like Cena himself said, like where he's at this point, very upfront about it. He's very, very limited, but he's also very, very over, and therefore you can compromise a lot of your match quality.
And he's also very, very important to a lot of other people that are waiting for him to come back to work. So yeah. So,
it could disappear at a moment's notice.
Yeah. So the main thing coming out of the show, especially the main event, was I was really surprised that they didn't do the cash in. And, just simply due to the nature of like a last man standing match really kind of being the perfect backdrop for even a tease and an attempt. And then we saw like this attempt. Sorry, shout out to our sponsors. This attempt tonight.
Cash in.
Yeah, that was me. My briefcase. And then I thought, okay, well, like, did they delay last night's in order to give us this moment? I'm not exactly sure, but if that was the case, I don't necessarily think it was worth it. I thought last night would have been that much more memorable, even if it was, not set to be an actual cash in and only a tease. But I thought I continue to love Drew's current role here. He is the most interesting character that they have right now. He continues to stick very true to his own word. He's almost like in a very unique category all to his own when it comes to, your heel and babyface sort of definitions on within the WWE right now. So I thought having him not step in to save Rollins, but to step in only when his own interest was being threatened with this cash-in attempt was a great way of exemplifying his current character. And I think it'll be a smart way to ensure that Priest won't be able to cash in as long as Drew is around before Crown Jewel.
Yeah, this was a good spot tonight. I just saw Saturdays as it was this big hole that they were trying to fill, because if they had not done that vignette backstage explaining it, I think it would have been this giant hole. Like, why would he not be cashing in? And I think the backstage segment was to temper the audience's expectations to not expect the cash in.
It actually had the
foolish.
But it actually had the opposite effect on me. Anytime they do anything to tell you that we're not coming out, I feel like as a wrestling fan, you're kind of trained to think that you are.
But how are we to read that segment? Are we doing it like Judgment Day knows that the audience is seeing this?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
No.
Are we eavesdropping, or are we being projected to?
I don't think they're doing it to fool the audience. I mean, okay, I don't even want to think so deeply about something that's not meant to think that deeply about. But I'm just saying, like the professional wrestling TV usually presents, those sort of red herrings, but whatever. It's maybe hard to win that way.
Well, after the first segment, we go to the Viking rules match that Ivar is 2-0 in previous tag versions, taking on Kofi Kingston. And Ivar, this is his most prominent singles run of his career, and had crazy plunder match with Kofi. This included Ivar on top, and we saw the shields return as weapons. And he was yanked for this flip off he was yanked by the beard, actually, and sent off the turnbuckle, and Ivar crashed through a table on the floor. Valhalla leaps off the desk as Kofi is scared by this woman. So Woods runs down, and she starts growling at Woods like she has rabies and is going to attack Xavier. So she runs at him, and Xavier ducks, and she just hightails it over the guardrail, and we never see her again. Ivar then kills Woods, is rolled into the ring, and catches Kofi's Trouble in Paradise and drills him through a table in the corner, climbs to the top for this moonsault, and wins the match in 11 minutes and 11 seconds. Ivar has turned it up significantly, but I'm watching this guy and what he's doing. I was like, man, you're just jonesing for a bed next to Eric.
With the moonsault, I mean,
for everything in this. He's a big dude doing all of this stuff, but I've enjoyed these two and their chemistry that they've had.
This is his chance, John. This is a team that has been around this company for a long, long time, and they've done a lot of like really, really dumb things that have not really improved their stock whatsoever. This, I would say, has been a month of like actual positive momentum for the Viking Raiders as a whole, but of course, Ivar specifically. So
when I'll take it seriously is when they do the vignette where he finally snaps and says, "Stop calling me that name. It's a stupid name."
He probably chose it himself, man.
Ivar.
Yeah. I thought it was a good, hardcore match for TV. Big, satisfying table breaks. Ivar, I think, finally got to win a match because it feels like he's lost a lot in this feud. I think all in all, they've done a good job of making that moonsault of his feel like a big deal for the Viking Raiders. Beyond that, I mean, they've done this rematch so many times. I can only imagine
they have a New Day rules match.
what would that be? Bootios everywhere? Don't they have their own match style? Their own plunder match?
Well, we'll find out. They got to stretch this.
Yeah, I imagine we'll get 4 more weeks of rematches with these two.
Saxton interviewed Shinsuke Nakamura, who won't respond to the questions about losing the match to Rollins on Saturday. Priest has JD McDonough up against the wall after his screw-ups at Fastlane.
By the way, Ricochet attacked Nakamura.
Oh, yes. Ricochet showed up here. So this would be Nakamura would come for revenge later in the show. So they're not dropping that. This issue that the two have had. JD is up against the wall, and Rhea explains she got the Judgment Day a rematch for the tag titles next week. And Priest is still upset with Drew and with JD. Drew for screwing up the cash-in tonight, and JD for just being a screw-up on Saturday. So she reminds Priest, you've still got the briefcase, and orders JD to take care of Drew McIntyre tonight. And Priest still wants to break this guy in half. So after JD was always coming through in the clutch, now he's screwing up left and right.
I love the way that they kind of set that up. I mean, they've shown JD to be very competent in the lead up to Fastlane, and then coming out of it is his one screw up, and the whole group is letting him have it, including, his supporters, Balor and Rhea, both showing their disappointment in JD McDonough. So this poor guy. I thought the dynamics between all the members and their reaction to what happened was fun to watch tonight.
Raquel Rodriguez against the irresistible force, Nia Jax, that they only mentioned 23 times as her nickname.
It's always been her nickname. Wasn't it on her Titantron?
Yes, this was one that was just constant.
Mm-hmm.
So this was a little awkward because the idea of this match is that Nia Jax is the big bad monster and Raquel is the undersized underdog, except she's like bigger than Nia Jax. So to watch her struggle so mightily against Nia Jax, I felt it to be a little tough to buy at times. Like this felt like this was a match tailor-made for like Nikki Cross to be the opponent.
I think if you are trying to tell any sort of underdog story with Raquel, I could buy it against Nia Jax. I mean, I don't know that they must have announced their weights, but I didn't pay attention. But you can like you can
She's
buy
taller. She's like looking down.
Yeah, but tall isn't height isn't everything. You know, like width is something as well.
Well, Raquel is thrown into the post. They went through a commercial break, and Raquel finally takes her off her feet with a big boot and tries a Samoan drop, but her back gives out, and she is dropped, and it's set up for the Annihilator, but instead Raquel lands a sunset bomb out of the corner for a big pop. Both are down, and Ripley runs down and just throws Raquel out of the ring, attacks Nia Jax. The match is thrown out in 7 minutes and 16 seconds. Raquel returns to the ring. She's fighting with Rhea when Shayna Baszler enters, and she's arguing with Rhea. Both want Jax, and it ends with Rhea Ripley taking a released German and a running knee from Shayna Baszler as Nia Jax watches on. And this will set up Rhea Ripley and Shayna Baszler for next week. But in one segment, they at least created a women's title division on one show.
That they did. Well, they've been teasing like this sort of four-way for a bit, and I imagine that might be the pay-per-view match you might get at a Crown Jewel. I thought the DQ was pretty acceptable here. You know, for one thing, it protects Raquel and keeps her and Shayna both in the title hunt here. And, you know, it was a chance to see Raquel work as a babyface, and I actually thought she displayed some decent chemistry with Nia.
Drew was backstage, and he's approached by Rollins. Pierce has made the match for Crown Jewel and asks why he lets someone attack him, but then you stop my cash-in. And Drew just explains, if it's not my business, I don't care. But Judgment Day winning the title affects my business and the locker room. And Rollins says, you don't have to worry about Judgment Day. They couldn't take the title from me, and neither can you. So again, it's like it's a pretty concrete defense that Drew McIntyre has. He just flat out said, if it doesn't concern me, I'm not bothered. It's only if it affects me.
Certainly, yeah. He again, he's very true to his word, as he says, and it's very unique right now for either a babyface or a heel. I mean, I think, you know, maybe you would call him a tweener at this point, but he's very much like selfish. And he's justifiably selfish given, you know, the trauma that he's experienced in the past.
Jackie Redmond interviewed Shayna Baszler, and if she's in the ring, she's the baddest woman out there. No one sneak attacks her and gets away with it. And as she walks off, Akira Tozawa comes out of nowhere, walks up to her, and just hightails it and turns around and leaves.
Tozawa is sort of like their, you know, I guess silent punchline to show fear for anybody, I guess. Yeah, and it's a role for him. I'm happy that he gets to keep his job.
It is a role for him.
It's funny.
If you were not looking, you would have completely missed this.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he's working main event as well.
Michael Cole introduced Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes, your new tag team champions, and Cole wants to get down to business. He wants to ask Cody about finishing the story. Are you content with the tag titles? And perhaps you don't want to take another crack at the WWE Championship because you failed and you're scared of letting people down again? Laying it on pretty heavy here. And dude, Cody Rhodes, who learned from the master, totally avoided the question. He just spoke about what he wanted to be asked, not what he was actually asked. He completely avoids this.
I was surprised he didn't start plugging NXT the next night.
Michael Cole, I appreciate the question, but I cannot comment on this. I am just so excited to be a tag team champion. Michael Cole, though, journalist. Let me get back to my question, though, which you have not answered. You came so close, but maybe your story is coming close and not winning, just like your father came so close. Before Cody can react to this one, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens.
Where was Michael Cole at the press conference on Saturday night? You know, why didn't he grab a seat? Why didn't he get the microphone for a question?
I mean, maybe he'll be credentialed at a future press conference. He can
One
ask
could only hope.
his hard-hitting questions. Zayn and Owens come out, and they start playing Sami Zayn's old theme song. This became quite the controversy online.
Yeah, more than likely just a mistake.
No, this is a clear sign that the company's given up on Sami Zayn, and they have so little care for him. They wouldn't have done this to Steve Austin. This is a terrible sign for Sami Zayn.
Yes.
Everyone should realize this is the beginning of the end for him. Zayn even makes a crack about it. He's like, haven't heard that one in a minute. And Zayn mentions,
I wouldn't even have noticed, like, if you did mention it, because that theme song I do not recognize whatsoever. Like, if you played that to me and had me guess whose this was, I'd be like, I'd never heard this before.
I was surprised to see the reaction, because if there's one thing I find typical of wrestling fans, they usually let things slide.
Right.
Zayn mentions that he and Owens ended the Usos' record-setting title reign at WrestleMania. And now Cody and Jay, they beat the hottest thing going in WWE, the Judgment Day. That's the story we're talking about now. So F off, Cole. And congratulates them and thinks the world of them, but it's conflicting emotions because we feel we should be holding those tag titles. Owens does not have mixed emotions. He is not happy at all to see them with the belts, wants them back, and wants to challenge them tonight, but knows Jay won't accept due to the thought of losing to us again. But Cody stands up and says, we accept. We can do it tonight. And Adam Pearce, who is the world's worst television producer, just clears out 35 minutes of real estate on the USA Network. Maybe this is why no television network has committed to Raw's rights yet. Maybe it's just, what are we can't be dealing with this last minute booking of a main event an hour into the show.
I think he's done this job long enough to know that, hey, like, he could have everything listed beforehand and some shit will go down. Somebody will go in the ring and will challenge somebody else. So I think he just has like a big like gap always, for situations like this. And you know what? The show always times out at a perfect 3 hours. So what could you say? He's done a good job.
Maybe that's the genius that is Adam Pearce. So that's set up for the main event, the tag title match.
Pretty quick to get to this match, again, like
I got the sense they would be leading to Crown Jewel with these four.
Totally.
No.
Like, there's so much story to be told between the relationships of these four, in particular, Sami and Jay, Kevin and Jay, even Kevin and Cody for bringing Jay over, that I felt like it was a bit quick for them to get to this one, especially with no actual build. But something possibly might tell me that this might be a short title run for Cody and Jay. That might be part of the explanation that I could see.
Otis is seen chopping Chad Gable in the back to get him ready for his #1 contenders match. He needs to be in top condition to beat Gunther. Bronson Reed enters, reminding them that he beat both Otis and Gable. He's going to win and tells Gable's daughter not to watch tonight because it's going to be another heartbreaking loss. Nothing like a heel who comes in and absolutely predicts the outcome.
I mean, that's sort of the Gable character, right? He
comes up short.
Yes, that's right.
Ricochet comes out for the match, but he is attacked by Nakamura as we go to the break and come back, and Ricochet, he's still good to go.
So I guess what was notable about this attack from Nakamura was that he used the GTS on Ricochet.
Totally missed it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you. I initially did too, but I think
maybe that means Kenta's coming. Is that what it means?
That must be what it means. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you have it. What a program that could be leading to.
Nakamura Punk.
The dream match.
Certainly, it would be. Yeah.
So, it was their defense is, he's just using the Benadryller. Ricochet's old move.
I guess, but Ricochet goes to his back, doesn't he? For that,
it's close enough.
Okay,
sure, that's what he's going for.
Right.
Maybe he just slipped up. Nakamura. He was on live television. He was going for one, hit the other. So it's Ricochet, Bronson Reed, and Chad Gable, the winner facing Gunther next Monday on the season premiere of Raw. So again, this is a season finale.
Yes,
as we learned halfway through the show. Good match here that they had. We saw Gable sent Ricochet on the floor with a dragon suplex, but rotated him over on top of Reed. They just these two were really great, having the big Bronson Reed to work around, and Reed just would cut them off with like avalanches, did a double Samoan drop. And then Reed takes a super kick, and that's he's sent into a release German by Gable. And then Ricochet dives to the floor. There's a springboard into an ankle lock by Gable onto Ricochet, reverses out, and then a German off the top as Ricochet rotates, landing on his feet, and his knee buckles, which sets up a chaos theory by Gable when Reed returns, dumping Ricochet on top of Gable, hits a senton and a tsunami, pinning Ricochet in 9:29.
I thought it was a very good three-way. Ricochet was really awesome here. I think there was some pretty smart booking in this, in that Ricochet can blame the loss on Nakamura, and actually him losing furthers that feud. Whereas Gable, his long-term story is still Gunther, and he loses out on the title match this month, but he's still very much protected from the pinfall here. So that goal is still very much alive. They put a lot behind Reed for this month in order to get him ready for Gunther, for what I thought would be a crown jewel match, but it looks like they're really keeping Gunther like this sort of exclusive like TV draw. And I mean, the match is going to be pretty good. I can already predict. So I don't think it's a bad thing at all.
Yeah, you gotta have those transmission fees if you want to see Gunther.
That's it. Mm-hmm.
Jackie is with Becky Lynch. She says she is not 100%. She's got 11 stitches in her arm. Plugs her book that comes out in March. And this is the biggest opportunity of Tegan Nox's career. She better bring everything she has. And in walks Xia Li, who asks, "What about me?" Which, I mean, man, Becky could have just eaten her alive here in a promo setting. Like, what about you?
Could have just said, "Who are you?"
I bet you there were many people with that question. And Becky just says she's not hard to find. Well, long-term open challenge booking.
Hey, I like it a lot. I mean, listen, Tegan Nox got 4 weeks of TV out of this, and it looks like she might actually even get a staying sort of character coming out of this as well. So this is exactly, I think, what Becky wants, is to give a spotlight to other people within the division, and Xia Li is certainly one of those that sorely needs it, because it's been, I don't know how many months. I didn't even know she was on Raw.
This was our update.
This was her debut, basically.
Pretty much. Rhea, Drew McIntyre and JD McDonough. Not a whole lot to this. Dom ran Drew into the post for the heat, and then is hit with a PK off the apron, and JD has the advantage, working on the left leg of Drew, but Drew then sends Dom onto the desk, getting rid of him. JD runs into the Future Shock DDT and is hit with the Claymore. 4:04 for Drew to win the match and move on to his title match. So JD messes up again.
Yeah, McDonough didn't have a whole lot of offense in this one, but I thought what he did show was really like good aggressive work on Drew's leg here. Beyond that, a very straightforward babyface win for Drew McIntyre here. So, whereas I felt like in previous weeks he was very much flirting with like straight up turning heel, I thought tonight was like them really dialing it back, and he's more so like just an asshole who's a babyface, but he's somebody who just, again, is only standing up for himself. So, I mean, he continues to be a really interesting mystery to me.
A recap of the DIY reunion, and Wade Barrett with a hard-hitting sit-down with Ciampa and Gargano, who made a bad news joke off the top, which crickets. Says that the fans made DIY. It's bigger than us. It's been 7 years in the making, this union. They always spoke, man, what if we were on Raw? How far could we go? I bet you those years ago when they were asking that question, it was facetiously. Yeah. Man.
They were on Raw briefly.
Yeah, we had that, and we both went back to NXT. And they're asked, are you going to be teaming up after all this? No. But before they can answer, they're jumped by Kaiser and Vinci, who leave them laying in this locker room, as Wade just like stood around and watched, and Michael Cole called him on it. Wade's like, I'm not a wrestler anymore. I'm not getting involved.
He's using the Drew McIntyre playbook. If it doesn't affect him, he's not getting involved.
My business.
DIY versus Imperium. Yeah. I mean, cool first feud. Good, right?
Jackie spoke with Tegan Nox and says Becky is going to face the best version of her. Tonight, she's going to show the world who she is. And Natalya says she's so proud of Tegan. You were born to do this, and gives her a hug. So we continue to string this one along with Natalya and how sincere she is. Ricochet is in the back searching for Shinsuke. Pierce said, I had him escorted out of the building. And they are going to have a Falls Count Anywhere match next Monday on the season premiere of Raw.
A Viking rules match even.
Oh, yeah. It could easily double for that. So
Sure. Why not?
quite a lot of matches for Raw next week. We'll go over them.
Oh,
after.
yeah.
Becky and Tegan for the NXT Women's Championship. After 2 minutes, Barrett says, I'd give it a 10-10. It's like, you'd be a terrible judge if you are just willy-nilly handing out 10-10 rounds. You could certainly make an argument for one or the other, or else you're just really not doing your effective job. It's like 1 in 1,000 chance that would have been a 10-10 round. Becky's selling her arm with the stitches in them. And I mean, they really should have shown the photo again right before this match.
Mm-hmm.
To really you see that, it's stuck in your head for a solid 20 minutes of this match. And you'd be just grossed out at anything involving her arm, as it was oozing like a life form out of it. So Becky hits a step-up kick, drops Nox off the turnbuckle to the floor. There's a high cross by Nox for a 2 count, and then Becky is going for the arm bar. Nox defends, and the disarmer gets stopped as Becky's head is driven into the turnbuckle, and as Becky is in the Tree of Woe, it's Nox with the cannonball, and Nox applies her own arm bar, and Becky maneuvers out of this arm bar. Bloodsport, this was not in terms of this grappling exchange. I will be kind. Missile drop kick by Becky for a 2 count, and then the manhandle slam is countered with a crucifix. Again, tries for the disarmer into a roll-up, and finally Becky applies the disarmer, and Tegan has to tap out. 14 minutes and 29 seconds that they gave these two, and Becky retains, offers her hand, and Tegan Nox obeys the code of honor, which was a theme on this show.
When you have a babyface versus babyface match, I suppose. Yes, I thought it was a good match. Thankfully, they gave this one enough time to make it feel like it was a match that was built for several weeks. And as a showcase, I thought there was a lot more interest in this than any of Tegan Nox's other matches, and that's certainly an understatement. In WWE, Becky did a great job. I thought Tegan Nox did good as well, but I was maybe hoping to see a bit more intensity and aggression from her, especially because this is her big chance. It's a title match on TV, 14 minutes. I felt like she was good, but I don't really think she stood out, not at least now in terms of her in-ring nor her charisma of any sort. But she just might be a bit of a blank canvas right now, waiting for a character to motivate her to get to that next level.
Yeah, and this is one where I think as well you can see that they have resources behind Tegan Nox that you don't get the sense they're just going to drop her cold. She does have a story with Natalya coming out of this. This is more important that they follow up and Tegan doesn't go back to being anonymous on the roster.
Mm-hmm.
Pierce is with Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. They're back. And Candice is asking Adam Pierce about the status of her husband. And Pierce is the one delivering the news. Dr. Pierce is informing them about how they're doing at the hospital. I was like, I'm pretty sure Candice LeRae has a direct line to Johnny Gargano. That would be my assumption.
Well, he might be unconscious after that terrible beatdown.
Wouldn't she be with him if he was unconscious? If he had suffered, if he's in a coma from that attack?
Yeah, actually, you would think
it was earlier in the day, was it not? It was because Wade Barrett was doing the sit down. They explained it was earlier in the day he did this interview. So
you're right. Hours. Well, Candice was busy, obviously.
Doing what?
This backstage, having to ask Adam Pierce how her.
I'm sorry, I can't come to the hospital, Johnny. I've got to stay here to film a segment where I'm asking about how you're doing at the hospital.
I mean, airtime doesn't come by very easily for Candice, so yeah.
No, it doesn't. I mean, this was high value here.
That's right.
Like Indy Hartwell, I thought she was back in NXT.
Well, she could go back and forth, she said.
Oh, okay.
Just like Becky.
Which championship does Indy have with that power? Is that just, or you're an alumni and you get to go back? It's like a, reunion.
Yeah, she's got alumni status. I think she might even still have a locker there. That's what grants it. Yeah.
Nox is backstage and Natalya says, "You did amazing." Like, what are you talking about? I lost. And Caden Carter and Katana Chance just like, hey, is the camera rolling? Let's get in on this. And they also were trying to pump up Tegan's spirits. But Piper Niven and Chelsea Green come in. They're making fun of the pity party. And Green warns Natalya, don't get in my business again. You could learn from Drew McIntyre. And Niven threatens Natalya that you'll have to deal with me. And with that, Natalya says, you name the time and place. And Piper Niven says, Adam Pierce will have a segment free next week. Let's have a match. I'm sure we can get a segment or two, at least one. And Natalya's like, cool. Picture in picture it is.
That is it. Yes. So yeah, this was kind of interesting because like this felt like a very genuine reaction from Natalia, right? And she's somebody who I think has been supposed to be disingenuous often, especially with Tegan Knox. So I don't know. What is this?
The hope that you're interested to see where this goes. It's not just like an immediate turn. You're going to have to wait for this one to see, is she being genuine or not? It's kind of like a lower version of like the Jey Uso story.
Okay. All right.
Did you see who was sitting behind Barrett and Cole all night in Omaha?
Who?
Anthony Smith of the UFC.
Okay.
Get those front row TKO tickets.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah. Next week on the season premiere in Oklahoma City, Finn Balor and Damian Priest challenging for the tag titles against the winners of tonight's match. Gunther and Bronson Reed for the IC title, which should be really strong. Rhea Ripley and Shayna Baszler. Ricochet against Nakamura, falls count anywhere. Man, that's like a pretty intense match that Nakamura has to come back a week later after that match with Seth Rollins on Saturday. So.
But a TV setting, like anything can happen. They could get thrown out like with something, they like, I don't.
I feel this is going to be like a pretty big match that they have. I certainly see it getting its due time and having to do like a big match on TV. And then Natalya and Piper Niven. So 5 matches.
Is that a new record for number of matches they've announced, or even segments they've announced for Raw?
It's on the high end, though. The last time was a few weeks ago. They had all these matches announced, and then half of them fell apart by the time we got to Monday. So we'll see. Sometimes a curse when you announce all this.
Mm-hmm.
Jey Uso meets with Drew McIntyre, and Drew just says, "I see right through you, and I'll be ready to drop your ass once you show your true colors." And Zayn intervenes to play peacemaker, and Jey tells Zayn, "I appreciate you always having my back, but tonight it's go time." Zayn's like, "Yeah, I know. We're up in like 20 minutes." There's a video for Giovanni Vinci with Kaiser without Vinci. I am living art, and we've got him with like all these different like art pieces, and
they're like bad AI versions of like him blended with like the Mona Lisa, and
Was anything more obnoxious after your first glance than people posting their AI generated photos of themselves? Because I was over it after the first one I saw.
I mean, get used to it, John. It's like
God.
sort of a thing that is a part of our world now.
Look at this. So anyway, he's an A+ specimen. Ludwig Kaiser.
Oh, that he is. Yeah. I'm glad to see them putting out some effort into pushing Kaiser as a single star. He's certainly,
but he's in a tag team. What about his partner?
I wonder how long the tag team's really going to last. He's the one with the speaking role. He's the one with, I think, storyline. So they clearly see a whole lot more with him.
Main event, Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. There might've been 18 commercials during this match.
Felt like it. Yeah.
I never felt this match really hit that stride because man, the breaks Owens and Zayn came out at 10:25 p.m. The match started at 10:35. And then we go to an immediate break. We come back. There's another commercial break. We come back. There's another commercial break. It was like, holy crap.
Well, they got to make up for tomorrow's commercial-free half hour, John.
I know. That's what I felt like, man, they're getting an advance here. All these all their ad inventory, they're just using up in this match. So I mean, the final 10 minutes, they got a commercial free. So they don't advertise that. 10 minutes commercial free at the end of Raw. Owens and Jey are trading super kicks, and we get a close-up of Owens so clearly communicating with Jey here and just like walking him through. The Uso splash misses. Owens hits a stunner. Cody makes the save. Zayn dives onto both on the floor, and then Owens lands on the knees of Jey with a swanton, and we get super kicks, including a Cody super kick.
Super kick party. Yes.
I would call it just a kick.
Right. Okay. Yes.
Cody Rhodes hits the crossroads to Zayn, and then they hit their finisher that Michael Cole is pushing for the, what's he calling this? The Cody 1D?
Yeah.
Which sounds like something I'd take if I had a fever. Do you have any Cody 1D?
Sounds like something that would be banned,
from the makers of Benylin. It's Cody 1D. 9 out of 10 doctors recommend. and he pins Owens clean in 21 minutes and 19 seconds, 20 minutes of which were commercials. And dude, they ended early. We saw multiple replays of the finish, then a whole rundown of all 5 matches, and then we get another replay of the finish. And then at the end, Cody and Jay offer their hand to Zayn, who shakes it, and Owens returns to the ring. You don't know what he's going to do. He shakes hands with not just Cody, but also Jay, as they put over that he's finally bought in. They've won over Kevin Owens. So surprising to me at how clean of a finish we got, and like no indication of them revisiting this. It was almost like, well, let's get this match in while they're tag team champions because we're not doing it again. And that was that. It does not feel like Owens and Zayn are going to be in this title picture as long as Cody and Jay are champions, because this was as neatly wrapped up a program as you could expect, like nothing to lead you to a rematch.
Yeah, again, it feels like they rushed through maybe a whole lot, in the span of these, like an hour and a half between the time that this match was made and the blow off basically occurred at the end of this. So again, I mean,
I'm fine with 90-minute feuds.
sure, cram it all in. I think again, I don't know, but like I wouldn't be surprised if these titles just went back to the Judgment Day next week. I could see that being a possibility, the way it happened with Dominic and Trick Williams. For that reason, if you're gonna do 1 week's worth of a tag title defenses, then Owens and Zayn would be that team, wouldn't they? It's not like this segment was completely for nothing. I mean, they did give you Owens and Jay finally, being accepted by Kevin Owens, and as a storyline point, that was probably the most significant thing to come out of this match. Beyond that, I'm totally in agreement with you. The commercial breaks really interrupted the flow of this one for me, and crowd seemed like pretty hot for it, just given the star power. But it's not necessarily a match I would say like you have to watch.
How about your opinion of Raw overall?
I thought it was a pretty like solid Raw, like in terms of storytelling, getting pieces moving here and there. I continue to love the Drew McIntyre character. I think Becky has been doing a really good job with this open title, open challenge. I think she's actually the best women's champion in the company right now. Rhea is building her thing with Nia, and it's in, I think, decent shape as well. So what else we got here?
I really like the triple threat with Gable, Ricochet, and Bronson Reed. I thought that match was good. I think I would have been much more into the tag match on a pay-per-view setting without all the breaks. I just felt it was a really tough to get those going.
It's the problem with TV, right? And again, especially the main event where like I think they probably have to make up a lot of commercial time that might not have been used earlier as well. So that actually might be a bit of a handicap. So yeah.
And we got 3 weeks until Crown Jewel and 1 match so far. And probably the setup for whatever Roman Reigns is doing on that show this Friday for the season premiere of SmackDown. Is this the season premiere of NXT on Tuesday?
I think it's more of the season finale, isn't it?
Maybe next week's going to be the season premiere. They're going to try and pump up that number next week with the season premiere.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was Raw from Omaha, Nebraska. And we're going to be heading off to your feedback. We have a bunch here. And if you want to send in any super chats, you're welcome to do so. And
let's start with super chats. The first one comes to us from Matthew Yanes, who says, "Hola, amigos. Happy Canadian Thanksgiving Day."
Well, thank you. Did you celebrate anything Thanksgiving
related? I mean, nothing, not necessarily. Just kind of went for a nice hike and made dinner for the family. Had a nice steak. Had a nice ribeye. Nice. How about you? Do anything?
I just got together with family on the weekend. That was it. Good time.
That's the way it should be. All right. Well, thank you so much, Matthew, for that. Let's go to Jake Olinar, who sends $5 to send love and prayers to those affected in the Middle East. I have friends in the line of fire in Israel and can't stop thinking about them. More peace, not war.
Well, thank you, Jake. Very nice sentiment. Yeah, awful to be following what's going on at the moment. So yeah, definitely keep those in your thoughts, especially several of our listeners that live in Israel.
Thanks, Jake. Let's go to Brandon from New Jersey, who says, "Is this the greatest rub of Michael Cole's career?"
Michael Coke's career.
Michael Coke's career. I'm really enjoying his work, loving how much he's busting his chops. It's a great bit. Want to hear my new one? I have no idea what you mean at all,
Brandon. I think you owe way double that amount for how he cleaned up your super chat.
I'm gonna give you your money back, Brandon, for that. Andy sends 40 rupees to say, are you bullish on a CM Punk return?
I think most are. I think it's just you connect the dots. It seems to make the most sense. And
yeah,
I think you're getting some people that are reading too much into it, but tonight was more of a, kind of a nod to everybody, I guess. But I mean, there's nothing concrete, but I think most people are probably expecting that.
I'm expecting it at this point. Yeah. So I would say I am bullish. Thank you guys for that, for the super chats. And thanks to all of you guys tuning in live. Please give us a subscribe. We're trying to get to 15,000 subscribers. I think we're only about 100 away. So very close. And then what are we going to do? How are we going to celebrate?
15,000. We'll do a staring contest for 15,000 seconds.
Not doing that.
No. Okay. We'll think of something.
Right.
Let's start off with forum.postwrestling.com. Jay from Colorado. I'm not sure who left it, but the face makeup imprint on Nia Jax's abdomen was, in all honesty, one of my highlights of Raw. It looked like a cheap Punisher logo. I don't think I've laughed this hard. Okay, this is definitely a visual. Okay.
Okay. Interesting.
Great observation.
All right, let's go to Manny from Pacoima, who says, first Rollins claims to be the best in the world. Then Cole says something about puppets. Then on the SmackDown Go Home, Corey says the greatest trick the devil ever pulled, quote. Then tonight, Nakamura hits the go to sleep. L.A. Park to WWE confirmed. I knew it.
All right.
He says the main event was a solid match. The 1D cutter looks pretty cool. John and Wayne should do that move on the BDE boys tomorrow as Post and Poison Rana present Super Tuesday. Becky and Tegan also put on a good match. Season premiere next week is stacked. Really enjoyed the Revolver Grand Prix. Mox went out of his way to promote the pay-per-view, and they made Marina look like the favorite since the show was announced. Hope you both enjoyed your Thanksgiving, and I can't wait till NXT announces a 1-hour kickoff fashion show hosted by Pretty Deadly for tomorrow. Yes, boy.
That'd be kind of funny. I don't imagine too many people saw it, but the Revolver Women's Grand Prix show, I ended up watching this on Sunday. It was like a really fun tournament that they did. It was like 8 women in the tournament, and it came down to Marina Shafir and Billy Starks in the final. And to Manny's point, like Marina Shafir, like she certainly does not have the personality that is going to jump through the screen on AEW, and the heavy grappling, it's not going to be everyone's taste, but in this setting it works so well in kind of a small independent setting like a blood sport or a Pro Wrestling Revolver. And for a tournament format, it was just such an easy story. Here's the big submission threat that is the favorite to win this, and it comes down to her and Billy Starks, who is the ultimate underdog, and she just ends up catching her with a pin. But I thought Marina Shafir was really good on this show. There was also a great match with Billy Starks with Trish Adora in the semifinal. Janai Kai was in the opening round. She is really, really good. This was a fun tournament that they did as well. So that was happening on Sunday. Next up, we go to Muggin. Everything felt fresh and got pushed forward. Becky and Tegan was a quality match, and Tegan got elevated in defeat. It'll bode well for her going forward. I braced for a Judgment Day non-finish in the main event, but it doubled down on Cody and Jay as tag champions. Cody's announcement on NXT tomorrow night might lead to the return of the Dusty Classic. Overall, a satisfying reset episode. Tomorrow's going to be jam-packed. Strap in, y'all. He's got a picture of Sean and Hunter cooking with Crown Royal.
Yes.
I'm too tired.
Let's go to Jesse, who says, okay.
You drew him.
We're officially in the HBK and Triple H era in WWE and Endeavor/TKO for WWE. My question, does Vince regret not letting the Saudis buy WWE? And with KAIRI Sane returning to WWE, does that mean the Pirate Princess makes a wish for New Japan, Stardom, and Noah to have partnerships with WWE now that Vince could be on his way out in creative, thanks to Endeavor and TKO?
Okay. I don't even know what the question is in this.
Do you think Vince regrets not selling to the Saudis?
No, I don't think he does. He got a pretty great deal. So what he's referring to is the reports that Vince McMahon is not running creative anymore. Vince's position is still very strong in TKO, okay? Whether he is doing creative or not, and he ended up getting like a sizable amount more of this percentage deal. Now, the Saudi Arabian sale, it probably capital-wise, I mean, we don't know what the offers were, what they were willing to spend on it. So you can't necessarily compare the two. But Vince McMahon is like in a giant position at TKO, regardless of what his involvement in it is in creative or not. So it is not a case of him just like being ousted here.
Mm-hmm. Shall we go finally to Brian?
Yes, Brian writes, fun show, and based on who's popping up on the show, who's continuing to get pushed, and what Fightful was reporting earlier, it's nice to have Triple H and company back in charge. Chad Gable and Bronson Reed remain my weekly highlights, and I look forward to Reed and Gunther slapping meat next week. Very fun triple threat and Viking rules matches, and I like the main event as well. We had another background Easter egg earlier in the show as well. Adam Pearce was talking to Ricochet backstage. Behind them, Rhea Ripley and Drew McIntyre were seen talking.
Okay, interesting.
All right. Well, thank you, folks. Thank you for the feedback. We're back in less than 24 hours time with the Super Tuesday Super Review. So tune in as soon as NXT and Dynamite conclude. We will be going live with Braden Harrington and Davey Portman. A whole slate of shows coming this week at postwrestling.com. And that is going to do it for Rewind-A-Raw. Good night.